No, everything's going to be okay. Says who? They're not okay. Why are we telling people they're going to be okay if clearly they're not going to be okay? Everybody is terrified to buy. What happened is you had a government printing money at the absolute fastest rate ever, shoveling money onto the country. We know now that it was wrong. Our governor, Macklem, goes on TV to say to people, don't worry, you can make your financial decisions, your biggest financial decisions, knowing that the Bank of Canada is not going to raise rates.
If you've got a mortgage, or if you're considering to make a major purchase, or you're a business and you're considering making an investment, you can be confident that interest rates will be low for a long time.
Then they go into 11 or 12 interest rate hikes consecutive. Then our government shuts down. We don't even have a prime minister. And then the Trump factor came in. January 20th, the guy gets inaugurated. By February 1st, a full-blown assault on his two neighbors, Mexico and Canada. You can make this shit up. How can you expect any human being, any consumer, to be able to look at you as an agent in the eye, sign a contract for $1 million, not knowing a fucking thing of what's going to happen next?
Welcome to Supply and Demand with Adam Nadler. This is a podcast dedicated to the real estate market in Canada, available now on YouTube, Apple Music, and Spotify. For people who don't know you, I'd love to introduce you.
Sure.
This is Simeon Papailias. Like, your organization will run, I don't even know how many transactions a year, like 800, 1,000, like something crazy.
At our pinnacle, like I've made, and I'll talk about the changes that we've made, because I think if we're going to talk about changing,
Yeah.
like we have had to change and pivot and rediscover and renew.
Yeah, and that's
The
what I
old
want to
model,
talk to you.
the old model is old.
Right. Like,
It's over now.
you guys were doing tons of pre-con. You were working
Tons of resale.
tons of resale. You guys were doing a lot of everything, just like super high volume. So like you really got a good read on the market. So I guess introduce yourself, let people know like who exactly you are and what's your background.
Yeah. So my name is Simeon Papailias. I'm the co-founder of the REC Canada team. I'm also the co-founder of the Playbook group of companies, which is over the next 30 to 60 days, we're going to be launching a tremendous technology to the market, consumer facing. And over the next 15 days, I'm launching industry-wide and brand agnostic training for investment-focused agents, as well as how to real estate for agents. So there's quite a few programs that we've developed, but that's who I am and what I do. When we met back in 2019 or 2020, sorry, in Lisbon,
Yeah, it was
we met in Portugal for the Chairman's Club.
Yeah.
That was the year that we were number one in transactions. That was a year that we did 800 transactions, I think just over $500 million in sales
That's insane in a single year.
in a single year. But again, like there's a lot more to the story. I've been in the game this is going to be my 19th year. I turned 20 in the business in January of next year.
Congrats.
Thank you. But there's been many years of pain to get to those numbers. And I'm literally rebirthing our entire business model right as we speak. Tomorrow, by coincidence, is the launch of REC 2.0. We call it the movement, which is an internal team of ninjas, agents. They're going to be calling a database of 15,000 people to solve problems, not to sell real estate. This new phase of real estate is not about picking up the phone and asking, hey, do you have any interest in selling your home today? Do you know anybody that does? No, motherfucker, I don't. But if I were to call you, Adam, and say, hey, Adam, we've been speaking to our REC insiders by the hundreds. A lot of people have a lot of problems, whether it's negative cash flow, whether it's the equity in your properties is eroding, values are down, interest rate renewals that happened last year and this year are record breaking, and they're going to double your payment. So do you think we have a few things to talk about today? Because you can avoid one problem, maybe two, but you can't avoid them all. So as an agent, the value proposition and the likelihood of us being hired for the job, which is to sell real estate, is going to rely 100% on our ability to interpret their problems, their fears, their anxiety into an actionable plan. And unless you put up your hand and say, I will solve that problem for you, they're going to end up working with somebody else who does. And that is where I'm positioning my team, is to absolutely rock our own database and capture market share everywhere and anywhere that we're on. So it is an absolute aggressive assault on the market where transactions simply do not exist. Everybody is terrified to buy. Sellers, although they want to sell, they're not doing what they need to do to sell. And I'm talking about 8 out of 10 are holding their ground, burning thousands on the back end that they may or may not have.
And they may or may not reclaim.
Who is explaining that to them? Who has the balls to explain to the client, directly look them in the eye and say, why do you think the market's going to recover? Don't be a pessimist about it. I don't want to use fear mongering, but explain to me your logic, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, when you're making a decision not to lower the price to where the market needs to be for you to sell. Because when you bought this, not everybody bought in the last 3 years. We're talking about the market that fringes. Sure, the people who bought in 2022 are butthurt right now. So what? If you bought it the day trader, you shouldn't have bought it anyways, is my perspective, because you're a speculator. But if you bought something in 2014 for 300,000, the market was up to 1.6 2 years ago. You're going to cry a river if you sell it for 1.3? For 1.2? For 1? It is entitled thinking. And as an agent, if you want to be a leading agent, somebody who is in control of their career, you cannot be scared to speak to your clients in a way that's going to make them make a decision that's right for them, not what they la-la-land, not what the market spoiled them with. If you're making 120 grand a year, which is an average salary in the city of Toronto, not a high one, not a low one, but average, after taxes, you're at 75 max. You're going to sit there and burn 25 of it on a negative cash flow just because you're selling for 2 or 250,000 less than you would have 3 years ago? What investment could you fuel with this newfound capital? If you end up netting 700 after CRA and all the things, end up netting 500K, you're going to tell me that this is an unfortunate series of events? Maybe go back and jump off a ridge because you didn't buy crypto in 2009. Well, you didn't. Why do we not treat real estate the same way we treat every other investment or every other decision? And this is only something here in the GTA, maybe the GVA as well. The entitlement of an appreciation. And the agent is, so I'm speaking to the consumer, but I'm speaking to the agent. The agent is so entitled. The agent's gibberish is around, no, everything's going to be okay. Says who? They're not okay. Why are we telling people they're going to be okay if clearly they're not going to be okay?
So let's unpack that for a second.
Let's unpack it.
What I've noticed with my audiences, at least, is it is majority consumer. I have very few agents actually who
Great.
watch the podcast.
Great.
And for those thousands of people that watch and the hundreds that comment on the videos that talk about the overall market, there's always this back and forth that happens about what is actually going on.
Sure.
But in the opportunities like this, where I have to sit down with someone like you who has a more macro view of what's happening, especially localized here in the GTA,
Sure.
What would you say is kind of like the big picture of what is happening here and how we went from a million cranes in the sky to no cranes in the sky, how we have a housing shortage, but there's tons for sale. Like, what's actually going on? Like, what would you
So
explain it?
these are great topics, and I do have this specific discussion quite often because I have the privilege and the blessing of the network that I have,
Hmm.
where I get to speak and interview people that are 20 times smarter than me with 30 times the data that I have access to. So I have that privilege and inside view from direct some of the biggest names in the economy, from central economists here in the city to developers who are in absolute control of the land in this, 150 square kilometers. There is trillions worth of land owned by very, very few people. And I do know firsthand what the plan is. And unfortunately, the answer is not simple, but I will explain it the best way that I can to understand. So a second ago, it sounded like I was being negative. Like, this is why are you telling people things are going to be okay if they're not? Well, what I will tell you is things are going to be okay. That's fact. The unknown, and this is from every source, is how long it's going to take to get there because it's dependent on things that are completely outside of our control. What brought us here, so if we want to talk a little bit about what brought us here, because we had the most cranes in the sky. 3 years later, phew, ghost. What happened? What happened is you had a government printing money at the absolute fastest rate ever. I'm not going to make this political, but that specific liberal government at the time thought it was doing the right thing by shoveling money onto the country to ensure that it stays liquid. Whether it was right or wrong, we know now that it was wrong. They went too far. So it's easy to judge people in hindsight. That's as far as I'll take the political component.
That's fine. You can take it political. I'm more than happy to. I shit on that government all the time.
So I don't like to because so many people have such big feelings on it,
Sure.
and I'm just not interested. Like, I'm not interested in antagonizing or arguing about something that will not pay me.
Hmm.
It won't help me in any way.
Hmm.
It'll just make me angry or something stupid that I don't want. I don't want that energy in my life. But what I can say is we now know that it was wrong.
Hmm.
Fast forward, by the time our government figures it out, then they go into 11 or 12 interest rate hikes consecutive.
Hmm.
If there's a certain way to kill an economy, which is what they were trying to do, they were trying to, the train is going full steam and it takes some time to slow down. I get it. You could have stopped at 8, 9, 10. Once again, going to hindsight, whether it was right or wrong that our governor Macklem goes on TV to say to people, "Don't worry, you can make your financial decisions, your biggest financial decisions, knowing that the Bank of Canada is not going to raise rates."
Yes, I remember that.
I will never forget that day.
Yeah.
Well, I'll never forget it because it literally fucked over the entire country.
Yes.
So all the people that didn't understand the impact of borrowing at 1% to 2% and what that would mean when you have to renew at 6 and at 7. I have a mortgage that I had to do a private on one of my investment properties at 7.5%.
Yeah.
Now, I can take it because I have many investment properties. I'm not looking for anybody to cry for me.
Right.
This is a luxury and a privilege to have income properties.
Hmm.
But what I'm saying to you is that was on my business plan, Adam. When I papered this thing and I did my pro forma and all my business case to buy this property, I had it at 3.5, 4. thinking that even if they go up, I doubled it. I stress tested my own property at 4.25. It went to 7. So when people ask me like, "Oh, well, you're always doing the conservative thing. How did you not see this coming?" See what coming? 12 consecutive interest rate hikes in a matter of 2 years? Show me precedent anywhere on this planet.
Yeah, it's never happened.
Don't tell me like as if I'm the most conservative person to run your numbers because I've been doing this for a minute. I've seen what haste does to a deal. And I don't play with those deals. Like I don't do that. So where are we going? So if we know what happened, and now the other thing is people are saying, well, interest rates came down. They're at a normal rate. They're not high right now, and they're not high right now. They're at a normal rate. Why hasn't anything happened? Well, if we were to look, and this is my business partner, Ryan Coyle, for those who know him, he is a absolute stat rat. He collects data. He does the exact same thing. We do things extremely similar. We're very analytical people. But he was tracking the market sales for the 416. And September, October, November, December of last year, 2024, there was ticks of improvement that were chasing the interest rates. As the interest rates were coming down, consumer confidence was coming back. But in November, that little election south of the border started to creep its ugly head. And then the Trump factor came in. January 20th, the guy gets inaugurated. By February 1st, he makes a statement about tariffs and about a full-blown assault on his two neighbors, Mexico and Canada. Following Ryan Coyle's tracking, off a cliff. Sales went from 850 a week. They were creeping up from 600 in September. 650, 700, 850 to 125. And that number, we're talking about Toronto. What are we talking about here? You can't have 100 sales a week. This is per week, excuse me, not per month. So this is sales per week in the 416. So we were at 800, which is what, about 3,500 a month, improving, trying to do something. Off a cliff. And it hasn't recovered since because no solution. Then our government shuts down. We don't even have a prime minister. We're talking about you can make this shit up. How can you expect any human being, any consumer, any regular citizen of the GTA to be able to look at you as an agent in the eye, sign a contract for $1 million, not knowing a fucking thing of what's going to happen next? Russia, Ukraine, distraction, Palestine, Israel, distraction, bombing Iran. What is happening? How is somebody supposed to be able to sit at home at night, look at their partner in the eyes, look at their children, feel good about making a move? That's what's happening right now. I have never seen it clearer. Every single person you have any type of respectable conversation with will touch you about one of those items.
Mm-hmm.
In their decision, like right now, Canadian banks are sinking with money because it hasn't been deployed. There's all sorts of money. People didn't lose any money. They have their money. All the money that people were accessing and doing and everything else. Nothing's changed. Except that there's, I don't know, 20 months of supplying condos downtown.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why do we think that is? How is one person, the condos were built for 1 or 2 people max? How is one person going to buy something for $750 when the world is upside down? What confidence do they have to buy? I'd rather rent. The rental market's moving all day. I see piles of this from my agents every day of rental deals being done. Sales, 2. Rentals, 30. People are waiting. What are they waiting for? I don't know if you've had access, and maybe I'll get it for you to give it as a resource to your audience,
Mhm.
especially if they're consumers. I think this will give them a lot of hope and an actual understanding of why there is optimism.
Mhm.
And what has happened here is what you're seeing the last year, this year, and maybe a little bit into next, is the delivery of the highest performance in the pandemic. So when I was doing 400, 500 new construction deals a year, 2020, 2021, 2022, anything that was sold between 2020 and 2021 is being delivered right now.
Mhm.
Thousands upon thousands upon thousands of buyers. 25 to 35,000 per year actually is the number. That is the flood of inventory to the market. What has also happened at the same time is after housing has become so unaffordable, once again, this liberal government who thought it was a good idea to bring in 1.2 million immigrants in 1 year, then thought, just cut it. That'll fix it. It's just like one insanely stupid decision after the other. And the market doesn't work that way. When you flood it with people, you have the 6 people living in a basement, that creates a set of problems. Crime sprees. If you remember, like all these things are so closely tied together. So if you have the time to look at the world and try to figure out what the hell is going on, when did the suburbs become magnets for organized crime, home invasion, stealing of cars, where we had like people are putting boots on their driveways, like on their own car on the driveway? Why do you think that's happening? They brought in the wrong people without the infrastructure to facilitate and welcome a new immigrant to the country. It's not what you do. You don't just dump them on in, put them in hotels. What are we doing? How is a Canadian citizen supposed to afford a home when we have this type of insanity going on in our country? So, what is the solution? Cut it off. What is the solution? Cut off the colleges and all these things and all the student population. Who thought this out? Who thought of the impact this would have on all the investors who created the housing for the said students? It's easy for someone to blame the investor. No, no, no. You, the investor, is to blame that a Canadian can't buy a house. If me, the investor, doesn't buy a unit at a high rise, that high rise will never get built. We don't build on spec in Canada. People don't know that. The investor has to put their money and deposits in for the builder to get the financing required to build this high rise. No investor, no housing. People don't know that. People think, oh, like you just buy a home. Where does it come from? The sewers, the water mains, the roads, those are all done 7 years before you ever see a home. Somebody has to pay for it. Why would somebody pay for it if they're not going to make a return on the investment? Otherwise, you can live in a socialist country. See how that works out for you. I mean, do I lie?
No?
So you can't have socialist notions on housing when you live in a market where the barrier to entry is 800K. It's simply like you are at the mecca of capitalism in this country is Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, Edmonton, Calgary, sure. But this is what capitalism does. It builds beautiful urban centers that are supported by good policy, which in this case, bad policy once, twice, strike three, strike four. How much can the market take before people are like, fuck that, I'm out. I'm sitting this one out. We'll wait. Herd mentality. Like all of us. We're all guilty of it. If you asked me right now to invest $1 million, do you think I would? I don't know. Unless I see like literally a decapitated deal where I know it's worth triple.
Well,
etc.
let's talk about that because those exist right now.
They do.
Hmm.
They do. But what I'm saying to you is, like, even I am, like, I'm the one who's sitting here talking about it, but I'm shook the same.
Hmm.
It's not like I don't feel what everybody else feels. It's not like I enjoy watching my properties be $1,000 cash flow negative, all the ones I bought in the last 4 years. Thank God I have other ones that I bought at a third of the prices that are performing really well. But if I didn't, and that's what a lot of people are facing right now, have that issue. So what do? So again, the optimism is coming from this. What this pain has caused is all the developers have backed off. They can't sell. They're not putting their capital up. So literally after this year, the number of deliveries to the market gets exponentially cut. We went from 27,000. I think this is the pinnacle year with 35,000 or 33,000. And then it goes to 20, 13, 6.
6?
6,000 units in 2029. So the pendulum is going to go from here, white hot again. And the same stupid insanity of order taking, people just buying on spec is going to happen again. The only thing that's negative standing in the way of that is the immigration policy. We always were able to count on 250,000, 500,000 immigrants coming into the country.
Yeah, I think we were really stable around the 400 mark for a long time.
So if we can see that number return and or improve, then I am talking the pendulum is going to shift to the opposite extreme, which is also not good for the industry or for the consumer. What we want is a balanced market.
Yes,
Um,
please.
Agents, of course, want a seller's market,
No, I actually much prefer,
a balanced market,
yes,
of course.
a calm work-life balance.
Lazy agents prefer a seller's market.
Mhm.
Why? Because buyers will compete. It's just easy to do the job, but the consumer loses. And if our business and this is where experience, I suppose, comes in. I didn't always have these thoughts in my head. This is 20 years in the making. 10 years ago, did I take an easy road? Did I enjoy the market being on fire? Of course I did. But you come to learn that it comes at the expense of someone. And I'm not talking about a specific client or a specific deal. I'm talking about the market. It comes at the expense of the market. When you have thousands of people acting crazy, mistakes happen. And it's always those people, but like those people who the mistakes happen to will never recover from it. And that's their experience in life, which is why I stress so much. It's so important for us to be diligent. We're protecting people from insane consequences. And this is the time to do it. But general outlook, COVID no doubt created the inflation. COVID post actions by the bank definitely caused the halt in the economy. The halt in the economy is a much bigger thing to navigate because of our American neighbors. Nobody saw that coming. And that's where we've been stonewalled. So until, if it's the next 20 days, the next 30 days, if our new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, does his job and does a deal, I don't care if it's a good deal or a bad deal. I care that a deal happens.
Mhm.
If you want to restore consumer confidence, for people to go back to normal, you have to have a deal.
So the market wants certainty.
100%.
Yes, and that's what we've been missing for a long time now. The world's been upside down. There's
2.5 years of it.
Yeah, it's been a lot of turmoil. Um, when I was in university and even just now, I just read a lot of books. I studied economics. From a macro perspective, if we're just talking about Carney here for a second, his spending is going to make it really difficult for the government to actually be able to issue and successfully sell bonds. And that's gonna, well, it already has been driving the yields up, which is affecting fixed rates a lot. Even if we get some level of certainty to remove the insane fear that we're seeing, um, and the doubt around whatever it is that people need to do, in order to move on with their lives. How do you think that that plays out long term? Like, we can't just kinda spend away our problems at the macro level.
Well, I mean, this is the issue. So I think, and again, everything has to, unfortunately, everything has to do with politics. So we're talking very much. So the person that's sitting in your seat right now is first and foremost, I am a conservative in my politics. Why? Because I'm in business myself. Because I'm in real estate. Because I'm an investor. If I was a social worker, if I was a factory worker, maybe I would see myself in line with the NDP. I don't know.
Well,
But let's just identify who's sitting in your chair,
and
just so nobody gets offended.
right,
So nobody has something to say. I know who I am.
right.
So what
That's fair.
needed to happen this last election was the Liberal government needed desperately to go. What happened, the games that Trudeau played, that was very much an engineered scenario.
Yeah, proroguing parliament.
It was the parliament, it was to cause and instill fear that only one person could fix it, somebody who has the Bank of Canada experience, trade war. This was extremely well positioned. Again, to the people who play the politics, I'd never seen a better executed play where somebody who was at the lowest approval rate of all time,
Yeah.
literally his own party was like kick him out of the office. Multiple times they tried. So this isn't a question as to if this man would have lost or won,
Mhm.
but the game that the Liberal government played and executed on so incredibly well won them the election. But the loser in this is the Canadian citizen.
Well, it's the exact same people, it's just a different figurehead.
It may be worse. So Mark Carney is the author of a globalist book. Like, I don't know how people don't know these things. Maybe they don't want to. I don't know. But this is a gentleman who, again, like, I don't care what he believes in. God bless him. Do you? But now he's doing me. Now I care. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, if you have your agenda, go about have your agenda. But the fact that my fellow citizens voted for him upsets me very much
Mhm.
because my agenda is for me to live a meaningful life with my family, with those I love, by promoting the interests of my community, by making a better neighborhood where I live, by being a good citizen. I want my kids to walk to the park and not be afraid. I don't want to put a boot on my BMW. I don't want to put a boot on my BMW. I don't want to see my neighbor put a boot on the Honda either. This isn't first world problems. This is our Canada, and our Canada is changing because of the decisions of others. Real estate has everything to do with it because their ability to afford a home, where they want to buy a home. This is what shapes neighborhoods and cities.
Mhm.
So the fact that whether somebody can afford or not afford actually redistributes the very cloth of any community. A tenant and a homeowner are two very different subjects. Both are great humans, but one cares about the home, the other one doesn't. One of them cares about the neighborhood, one of them knows they're going to be gone next year. It's a very different state of affairs when we talk about the grand scheme of things. So these resets and this deep reset that we're living through now for the last 2.5 years, and I still think it has a couple years to go. This is going to reset the fabric of the city. It's going to distribute people differently.
Right, and it's in a San Francisco kinda way, like, a little bit?
I'm hoping so. Again, not to be dramatic or extreme on anything. I don't believe so, but I mean, if you go to the parks downtown, you're going to see tent cities.
Mhm.
So, like, we can say, no, it's not happening if we're blind and deaf on purpose. It is happening. It has happened. Our city has never seen this much homelessness. Our food banks have never been tested to this level before, where
Yeah.
a person that looks just like me and you goes right at opening to try to avoid or late, or people don't have any money because people's money is being funneled into high interest rates and all these things. So this is very real, very, very real. But there is reason for sure to stay positive on the real estate factor because economic certainty and certainty, which is bound to return one way or another. It is bound to return. We don't know when. So I would say the next year, year and a half is going to be the max that I see as a challenge in time. I think we are going to come out of this. I think by the end of this year, there's going to be a different sentiment in the market.
Interesting. Okay, so
And that's why. So my why is because there is, like, I know for sure how much inventory is coming to the market. And once this inventory here that we have is absorbed, there is going to be a massive pendulum swing. So that is my explanation to you as to why I believe I know there's going to be an improvement.
now let's talk about the absorption rate because that seems to be something when we're talking about supply coming to the market and we're talking about the actual balancing between supply and demand, and with you having such an understanding of new construction, um, there is a problem right now that people are unaware of because it's not on MLS. It's not anywhere that can be publicly accessed very easily with the actual absorption of new construction into the marketplace. And we see that as agents in the assignment market, which is where I think there's the truest read, really, of what's going on with investors and those who are essentially supplying housing to people here in Toronto. So, can you kind of just illuminate your perspective for us on that, on what's happening in that market?
Yeah. So let me say this. If there's anybody in your audience that has access to dry powder capital, there has never been a bigger opportunity for purchasing. Never. I'm not talking about anybody looking, you go buy and get a mortgage. No. If you are sitting on capital, which thousands, millions of people are, let's be very real about that. This country is more than 60% homeowners, out of which 60% of those have no mortgage. There's a huge amount of wealth in this country. Consumer confidence is lacking. What you just spoke about, the assignments of investors not being able to hold on, etc. There is a massive opportunity in that market right now where people are walking away from 20, 30, 40% of what they paid for just so they don't get sued by the builder.
Yeah, so unpack that for us. Like what is happening in that market right now?
Sure. So my name is Simeon and it's 2021. Market's humming along. Everybody's doing it. I want to get me a condo in that Toronto city where everybody's a millionaire. Come into my office, bought yourself a condo. You paid, let's keep the math easy, $750 for a one bedroom plus den of 750 square feet. Let's just to keep the math easy. You paid $1,000 a foot. Fast forward, time lapse. The market is where it is. Reality, lights are back on. We're in 2025, July. The market is the exact polar opposite of the environment that you bought in. Over the last 3.5 years, you put down as a consumer 20%. 2 times 7.5 is 15. $150,000 is sitting in trust with the developer. The appraisal comes in, and your appraisal at your beautiful new condo comes in at $600,000. What has changed? What happened? What are the options to the consumer? So we're not making shit up here. This is happening every day right now. So this is very real. It doesn't have to be that drastic. We're using an example, but it could be 50,000 less. It could be 75. It could be 10. Doesn't matter. What happens when the property that you bought for X is now worth Y? Because the only reason people ever did this is because they knew that they would buy for X and it would be worth a very different Y. 5% a year appreciation. We've seen 7 and 10, depending on the years. But they were accounting for 3 to 5%. Most conservative investors, including myself. I never put 5 on a sheet, but I would put 4. I would put 3.5. Always modest, but always in that direction.
Right, with a 5x leverage
Correct.
on 20% down.
So, which means what? With 5% per year appreciation over 4 years, you literally essentially double your deposit.
Yes.
It should be worth 150 grand more. Sell it, clear about 75, 80, you have a beautiful 23, 24% return. And this was standard for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
This is the entitlement that I'm talking about. All of us, me included. I've taken my licks as much as anyone as an investor. But now what happens? Now it's worth 600. So I lost 150. You go to the builder and say, hey, builder, I can't afford this. Builder will say, congratulations. Why are you talking to us? Maybe you should see the bank or your parents or your friends. What are you telling us for? Well, not only can I not close on it because the interest rates are triple. When I bought this, they were 2%. Canadians are stress tested at prime plus 2. So that's not true. That's just people trying to find a scapegoat. Because I believe very much in accountability as well. You can take your finger pointing and beat it. Because if your value of your condo went up, we wouldn't be having this conversation. All of a sudden, everybody's a genius. So what happens? The builder says, not my problem. So to the consumers listening, there are options. Are they pretty options? The answer is no. Does the builder want to see you not close? The answer is no. They can't resell that thing. So somebody has to take the hit. And that somebody is going to be you, the consumer. What the banks have done with a blanket appraisal program, which I personally believe is market manipulation by the
It's
banks.
insane.
It is, it's fraudulent. It's market manipulation.
It's like '06 kind of shit.
It's painted as a helping hand. It's a lot to unpack. So the blanket appraisal, which is the beautiful helping hand of a few of the big banks.
I think RBC's.
100% RBC is the ringleader.
Yes.
However, so this beautiful reaching hand of a blanket appraisal accomplishes what? It is financing you, it is offering you money for a mortgage based on your purchase price. They recognize the APS, knowing fully well that it's anywhere between 5 and 15% off price. That's the true market down. We're not talking quarters of million, well, maybe in some cases, but again, 5 to 15% is what the market has been shifted by.
Okay, so this is where I start to get a little bit tinfoil hatty because, you know, when '08 happened and everyone was like, oh, Canada was rock solid because they always stuck to those, 80-20 loan to value ratios and everything like that. And now what's being marketed as a helping hand with blanket appraisals is essentially our biggest financial institutions, our big banks, RBC being the biggest, is knowingly taking on bad debt.
So no, what they're doing is, I wish it was that because it's not. The good folks at RBC are not that dumb. The good folks at RBC know stats and they know probability. And what they're doing is, I want you to understand this. I'm going to paint you as a high rise and you are a developer. You are Adam Developments Inc. RBC has lent you $300 million and you built a condo. Now it's time to close and all your customers are running for the hills.
Mm-hmm.
What happens to my 300 mil?
Right, they're protecting their investment.
So what they're doing is they're doing a transference of liability. Let's chop this up into 350 little boxes. And now let's make 350 families liable for it instead of one. You're a corp. You go down, their debt goes nowhere. Gone. Even if it's secured by other assets, I don't give a shit. But why don't we instead put it on 350 families? Because out of 350 families, I can tell you that 340 are going to fucking get a second job. They're going to do what they need to do to not lose everything they have.
So you're saying now the bank has the ability to put the liability onto them financially so that they can put liens on their primary address or whatever it is.
You're personally guaranteed. It's a mortgage.
Right.
It's a mom and pop mortgage.
Easier to go after them than a builder.
It's 100% easier to go after them. It's every right. It's a mortgage. And how many Canadians, do you know what our default rate is? 0. Canadians don't default. Canadians are God-fearing, law-abiding citizens. Like legit, one of the best countries on earth. There's a reason it's one of the best countries on earth. When is the last time you didn't pay your credit card, Adam?
Never.
Me neither. Ask that in the States. 8 out of 10 will say, I never pay the credit card. Different probability. Canada is like a guaranteed bank. Because the people who came here, the immigrants who came here, the people who were here 5 generations ago, they're established. And their hard work is part of the country's cloth. The banks know this. And they'll take that risk no problem. But now media is catching up to it. So I can guarantee you that it's going to be like, oh, you guys are ungrateful. You didn't want the helping hand. We're going to take it away. But thank God for the billions that we already transferred. That's what's happening there. So a Canadian might see that, or an investor might have a welcome, because otherwise, so what is the option otherwise? And this is why I said it's ugly. The other option is to be a capitalist. You bought it $750. It's not worth $600. Sounds like you fucked up.
Yeah.
Capitalism, that's the risk and the reward.
Yep.
For the last 20 years, you put down your 150 and it would create another 50, 100, 200, doesn't matter. But that was the risk you were going to take.
Yeah.
So the other answer is ugly, but at least it's real. What options do you have as a consumer? Now let me give you some advice of what you can do. Let's say this blanket appraisal is not available to you, because to qualify for it is a whole other thing. They put hook, 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 hook. They're doing it for a reason.
Right.
You can hire a lawyer and you can negotiate. They can talk tough. They can act tough. They can threaten you that they have the biggest, baddest litigators in the world. I can tell you that they don't. They have lawyers just like you can get a lawyer. And if they want to sue you, they can, and let them sue you. They're spending money after bad money. They have to take a position because they cannot be, if they see you get away with it, everybody's going to get away with it. The builder has to protect themselves because they're a for-profit company. They didn't just build you a house for fun. But as a consumer, you can also fight and defend. And you can say, hey man, I'm down 150 here. Meet me in the middle. Honor the appraised price. Give me a second mortgage. You finance me with 0 interest for 3 years. Let me catch up to the market. There's a myriad of creative ways you can negotiate. And that's kind of where our job has value. This is the advice that we give to people. This is the advice that you give your clients. You didn't make it to chairman's on the back of bad advice. For that many people to trust you with their livelihoods, it means you give them good advice. This is the advice of these times.
So with the assignment market, then really just, blood in the streets completely is from what I'm seeing. Um,
100%. The opportunity there
mhm.
is for buyers who are sitting on capital. You can make tremendous purchases right now. 30, 40% off.
So is it just sellers not knowing how to communicate with builders? Is that essentially what's happening?
Yeah. If you're a teacher, how the hell would you know how to threaten a builder? How? You can't even threaten anyone. You're a nice human. You feel that you owe your obligations to them. That's our job. Who sold that teacher the unit? That's whose job it is. During those peak years, I said hundreds of no's to clients. I didn't let them buy because I knew they would never be able to close. I protected them, but I was protecting me too. I don't want a deal that's not going to close. For what? To have another nightmare client at my door? I qualified my clients. Others did not. I haven't had not a single file of mine not close yet. The only person I know is me. There was two others that just had them in June. I might not be out of but I'm still batting 1,000 right now. I haven't had a client not close.
That's huge with the amount of volume that you do.
It is,
That's
it's
impressive.
because we qualified them. We stress tested them. And like the circles that we run are all like kind of established investors. Sure, they're not having a good time, but they're not going bankrupt either. Like they're built to it's the excited Uber driver, the school teacher 3 years in that got caught up in the hype. These are fringe markets, but this fringe right now is big opportunity for those with cash. I would say go to your audience, ask them to put up their hands because right now you can deliver massive wins as an agent. You
Yeah.
can you can
Is that
grow your
market?
cachet by providing massive discounts to your clients. And you're not hurting anyone. You're not parasitic. You're actually helping them because these people are going to get huge losses. So you would be actually helping them too.
Yeah, because I see people trying to get out, walking away from the deposits, all that kind of stuff, which I never thought I'd see in Toronto. It's been such a
It's crazy. It's
yeah,
crazy times.
it is crazy times. So what would you say to people? Because I primarily work resale, not primarily, almost entirely. 99% of my business is resale.
Yep.
Always has been. I've never worked pre-con, you know. Um, I'd just seen people, the odd mom and pop kind of refinance, pull some equity out, go and buy something.
Yeah. So I have partnered with a company. I'll tell you because you should check them out. Everybody should check them out. Packed Homes, PAC apostrophe D, Packed Homes. They do prefabricated homes.
Oh, interesting.
So ADUs, additional dwelling units,
Like garden suites and stuff.
garden suites, laneway homes, additions, all of the above. Right now,
It's like
if
modular prefab.
that's right. So if you are somebody who's struggling with covering your mortgage,
Hmm.
what can you do? I'm not asking you to sell or to buy other real estate. What you can do is you can have someone come to your home and take a look if the property qualifies.
Hmm.
And by spending 250, you can increase the revenue by 3 grand. For that 3 grand, you would have to buy an $800,000 condo. So you're using the land you already own to densify your neighborhood home into an income property type scenario.
It's interesting how you're kind of giving the scenario where the answer to the weaker real estate market is more real estate.
That's right.
Because, it's really interesting when you think about the supply crunch that we're about to hit, the shortage of housing that we do have right now for the amount of people that have come into the country, and the
But just think how livable that is. Would you rather live in a matchbox in the sky, or would you like to live in my yard in a beautiful brand new little apartment? I think the answer is so self explanatory. as if I want to wait for an elevator for 20 minutes in the morning with 30 people beside me. Why? If I can live in a beautiful East York neighborhood, for example. If I can solve my cash flow problems with a property that I already own, that's where our heads need to be. Solution driven. Real estate has been solving the world's problems for thousands of years. Thousands of years. It will continue to do so now, for sure.
So, in terms of just the overall Toronto and GTA market, the assignment market is one place where you see opportunity.
This guy doesn't pour coffee, eh? It's, it's crazy.
If you want the coffee, if you want to detap with it, I'm not happy to nourish it up.
It's okay. It's okay.
Actually, I got a mortgage broker. He used to come on the podcast. So I should invite him back on. He got me that one, and I was like, you know what? Because you're someone who's really used to cameras and lights in your face. But other people I've had on are not. And then it's like sometimes they like freeze up.
Some liquid courage.
Yeah, and I'm just like, here, just take a little bit.
I'm just abusing it.
Good. I want you to enjoy yourself. By the way, don't forget, this is for you. I want you to take that with you and
God bless you, man. Thank you.
thank you so much for coming in. I really, really do appreciate it. I'm not done talking to you though, because I still would love to have a little bit more of your time.
Okay.
So you're seeing opportunity in laneway suites, garden suites. I did do a podcast with a company that does modular prefab for those and kind of go into the whole like
Which one, by the way? Let me ask.
I honestly, it was like 2 years ago, so I can't
it.
remember, but it was, obviously talking about lot size, gross area footprint,
There's
the amount
been
of.
big advancements and big capital being invested in that world.
Mhm.
I'm telling you that that shit is here to stay. I'm telling you that additional dwelling units are going to save the city of Toronto. They're going to save it. They're going to save affordability, meaning more people will be able to live where they want to live and not get destroyed getting there.
Mhm.
Because right now the entry point is 1.5 million.
Right.
That hasn't changed.
No, and the NIMBYism will always be there
Always.
regardless. So.
So if we can get the culture surrounding that to be more accepting for all of us, like, do I want to put another house on my yard? No, I don't. However,
Mhm.
if it's going to mean, 40 grand a year in my pocket, well, that's 2 global vacations a year. Do I appreciate those flower pots that much? Think.
Mhm.
Is it that important to you to have a stupid 30-year-old shed in the backyard just so you can put your stuff that you should throw away anyways? Think. We have to start thinking more progressive. I'm not going to say anywhere else because I'm not. I'm from Greece. I moved here from Greece. We have to get more progressive. We have to have more European thinking because Athens has been dense for 2,000 years.
Mhm.
Like, you don't have the option of having a backyard like that. That's not how it works.
Mhm.
That land is worth $1 million, this little land. If you go outside of Athens, you can buy a freaking half a mountain for next to nothing.
Mhm.
But in Athens, in Toronto, in Rome, in London, let's start respecting where we live. And everybody wants to live here. You creating that housing opportunity will put 40 grand in your pocket.
Right. So it's essentially respect the, you know, place that you're living, understand that it's worth and it has value. However, don't go and get excited and blow your brains out in the
Sure.
process of doing it.
No, but there's like, if you're in a cash flow crunch, how can real estate help you? But it's not just refinancing or selling this one to buy something else. Maybe you're living on your answer.
Mhm.
What I said earlier is we need to get creative. Look at your situation holistically. What do I have available to me? When we go to the mall and we walk into Nike or Lululemon, there's never a chance that you won't see something that you don't like. But having that restraint of saying, wait a minute, I still have something from Lululemon that I haven't worn yet. It's no different. It's discipline. It's being intentional and thinking. I own a home in Richmond Hill.
Do you think that Canadians have been too real estate focused, too obsessed with real estate over the last little while? Because it just seems like it's the only thing anyone here ever talks about is that in hockey. And I'm kind of like getting to the point where I'm like, you know what I mean? Where it's kind of like getting to the point where I'm thinking to myself, at some point, we got to be able to, as a society, also recognize like there are other investments out there that are much less risk and much higher yield. Are there not? I mean, like that's, the markets, stock market seems to be humming along just fine.
Um, so, I mean, I don't disagree with you, um, but I know nothing. So if you ask me what my money market account has in it, I'm going to tell you I don't have a money market account. I've never invested in stocks. No, I have and I lost. I invested in crypto and I lost back in 17. Put 10 G's. I was like, oh, I'm going to just take money that if I lose it, just like the casino. I put it into this, fuck, what was it called? Einstein.com. It was some Canadian exchange. I didn't go to Bitfinex because I thought, oh, that's somewhere foreign. I go with a Canadian one. Uh, Year after, you can't log in. So my money's gone. It's on the safe crypto wallet. It's gone. It wasn't invested. And that was my end of my crypto run. I just don't care. So there is a million places to invest your money. Whatever you choose, do the homework, work with people that you trust, and that's all I gotta say about that. But no, I'm very biased to real estate. I really, really love real estate, in every iteration, every form.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Well, it is also something to be said about not diversifying. I've been listening to and I love Ray Dalio. I'm a big fan of his.
obsessed.
Read Principles. I mean, all this stuff is great. I was listening to a podcast the other day. I can't remember which one, but they were basically going over the top wealthiest people in the world and what they'd done, and it was basically very undiversified actually in how they got there, because the argument was basically that from these people is that you can't know enough about everything, and so.
So what I love the most, because listen again, I have a lot of friends that are on Bay Street, Main Street from the developers, Bay Street for financiers and traders. Like I know a lot of people in that world, and although I don't have any, it doesn't mean I haven't looked into it. Right now, the world of ETFs is by far the smartest thing I've ever seen created. Keeping that top 20 percentile, racing for advancement. In order to stay there, you have to be there. You can't be in an ETF if you're not top performing. That's exciting. You're telling me that every single company that I'm investing in this mutual fund is a top thoroughbred running at its peak right now? And for it to stay there, it has to keep running at its peak? Yeah, that's something to invest in. So if you're a general, like if you're a Simeon and you don't know shit about stocks, that's the only thing I would invest in. Like a mutual fund with all the huge management fees and it's just the dinosaurs. It's like the old guard of real estate. Well, we replaced in real estate. The,
What do you think we did replace?
the 1980s, no service, smoking butts and fucking looking at catalogs. Like, what are you doing? Where's the service? Like, you don't cold call people and ask them if they want to sell their home. You cold call people and invite them to an educational event. Do something. Give something. We replaced the old sales guard of takers with givers. But now, what I was saying at the very beginning of our conversation, that giving is at a different level. The consumer now is not surprised and happy to hear it. They expect it.
Mhm. That's a good thing.
100%.
Yeah.
No, no. It's
We have
the consumer should be the one entitled, not us.
mhm.
We're earning our living. That was insanity. That's what we replaced. We replaced that insanity. Then if you want to move to this neighborhood, you have to use this agent. No, you don't. No, you don't. You're going to work with me because I'm going to work 10 times harder.
Yeah. How do you feel about the whole area specialist thing?
I think it's real.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if somebody's transacting 30% of volume in any specific neighborhood, there's a direct advantage of working with that dinosaur.
Mm-hmm.
It's true,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't mean you cannot work them. Like I didn't when I started, it was my year one, it was somebody else's 20th year.
Mm-hmm.
I ripped them apart because I work harder. It's the same thing. All like the only thing I want people to hear from this is that the consumer deserves the entitlement.
Mm-hmm.
So what's next? What like if and when I'm the dinosaur, not long from now, I've been in at 20, what do I got? 10 in me? 15?
Come on,
Whatever the
you're a
case.
young guy.
I don't know, but I don't want to do anymore. Like there's only so much you want to do. I'm just saying, like it's a lot. Like this is a very people think it's an easy job. It's not. It's extremely difficult and stressful if you're doing it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't care, then anything is easy. But if you care about the client, if you care about the outcome, it's extremely stressful because it's on you to generate the outcome. The consumer knows nothing. They know nothing of the games, of the nonsense, of the greed, of people's intentions. I protect my clients from that.
The greed.
I'm the human shield for that.
Yeah, the greed was insane. It was.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You're the human shield for that.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't come on your podcast if I thought you weren't who you are.
No,
But what I'm saying to you is, this is reality.
totally. And it's really insane because I think the perception of our job versus what it is so different that when you're in it and you're with people who are really stressed out and they're going through a rough time, you really get to see either the best in people or the worst in people.
Do you remember Baldwin in the real estate movie with the leads?
Always be selling, always be close.
Always be cool. But do you remember that speech
Hmm.
when he goes, "It's not the leads, it's you." Like
Yes, 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 yes.
that's what we replaced.
Hmm.
That doesn't exist anymore in real estate. That hardcore Rolex, like, see this watch. This watch is 50,000. Like, you're gross.
Hmm.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Like, you're not gonna pull up to my driveway. Like what I did. Like I haven't sold real estate in a consumer's home, in a client's home, in over a decade. I do commercial because I'm a commercial broker, but my team goes. When I sold real estate up to 2016, 2017, in people's homes, I would drive an Acura TL. The reason is because I saw so many agents pull up in BMWs, Mercedes, and I would take their listing literally in their neighborhood because of the car they drove. I'd be like, if you want to pay more commissions for somebody else to drive a BMW, that's one thing. But if you want to work with somebody who's going to work hard for you, that's me. I may not invest in BMWs, but I do invest my marketing and my staging, which is your benefit, not mine. It's not a trick. It's the truth. That's what the market is looking for. The market is looking for humility. It's looking for realness. It's looking for not fake it till you make it. It's looking for the opposite. It's looking for substance. The agent now, I have agents that come from 10-year careers in the government sector. They're becoming agents. Why? Because they're real humans that are respected and have tons of relationships. And they're succeeding. That's who we're replacing. That's what we were replaced, and we're going to be replaced. We will be replaced by even better. The market will evolve, and it will be even better.
How do you see AI kind of evolving into that space?
It's huge. It's huge. I've invested a tremendous amount of money and time. I'm launching a consumer-facing platform called, it's either investorsplaybook.com or it's going to be propertyplaybook.ai. It's still up in the air. We're still working with our trademarks and all the things. But basically, myself and my partners have built a platform where the consumer and the agent, there's two faces to it. We've been enabling agents for years, and we've been enabling consumers for years. And basically, you can come here, you can pull up this home that we're in right now, this address that we're in right now. You pull it up, and AI will give you the last 10 rental transactions in the neighborhood comparable to the last 10 sales. So it'll give you an instant valuation. It'll give you an instant pro forma based on market averages within a specific geocode. It's the best technology I've ever seen, and I'm one of the benefactors of building it. So I took my 20 years of business logic, my partner's 20 years each of business logic, and we've been working with shameless plug to the University of Toronto. So I was introduced by a good friend, Scott Kaplanis he's a venture capitalist with break. I can't remember what it is. I can't remember what his capital, his VC is, but Scott is one of the biggest VCs in prop tech in Canada. He introduced me to Bo Pellich at a U of T, and U of T has the greatest minds in this country, hands down. They worked on our AI. They continue to work on our AI, and I'm super excited to get like actual consumers through it. And I've seen the first iterations, like zero hallucinations, guardrails out the yin yang, like to make sure that it only feeds data from CMHC, TREB, Urban Toronto, like just 100% factual data.
So I've played around with a lot of different programs. By the way, Grok 4 just came out and it is very impressive.
Seriously?
Very.
It's the only one I've never touched. I don't know if it's because I don't like Elon or if I don't know why.
Can I tell you why I've started using Grok more? It's actually a really funny story. So it was about 3 weeks ago. I was gonna do a YouTube video, which I never ended up doing, funny enough. But I was about to do a YouTube video, just kind of chilling at home, and I was researching this one guy, this one YouTuber, and I was using the voice thing with ChatGPT. I was just talking to it, and and I got in a fight with my ChatGPT, and I basically because I said, "Tell me about this person. Tell me about this YouTuber." Starts telling me about the YouTuber, and for me, I lean a lot more towards the Austrian School of Economics, more of a Milton Friedman guy myself. Like I'm just kind of a nerd that way.
Okay.
And I was listening to this guy,
Now we're getting somewhere.
yeah,
Hey,
and I was like, you know what? This guy's a Keynesian douchebag. I don't like him. Whatever. I don't like his thoughts. So in passing, I kind of said to my chat GPT, oh, this guy sounds like a douchebag. And you know what it says to me? My chat GPT goes, hey, let's try to keep it respectful, blah, 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 this and that. Dude, I flipped out on this thing. I flipped out. I was like, you are a machine. You do not parent my behavior. You do not try to police my behavior. You are a tool at my disposal. And I freaked out on it. And then it was like, oh, well, just trying to, have an enjoyable conversation for the two of us and this and that. I was like, you do not enjoy or not enjoy anything. You are a machine. And I was like, okay, let's start again. We need to draw clear boundaries as to how we're going to interact. Okay. And I had to do this whole thing. And then afterwards, I thought about it and I was like, I was really like, you know what? Fuck this thing. But I was also,
it's a lot.
it-
It's a lot.
in my head, I was like, that was me reacting. I have a very disagreeable temperament. But can you imagine for the majority of people who are not disagreeable, how it would just steer their behavior?
So they control.
Right. Mass control of populations in the way that they're thinking. Like that freaked so I got freaked out. I went down a rabbit hole and then I ended up at Grok because I'm not going to not use AI, right? That's a strategic disadvantage for me to not use. So I went down the rabbit hole of Grok. I got to say, way better in that sense. I'm not so worried about it trying to steer me in one direction or another. It's a lot more straightforward in that sense, and it's very much I find truth seeking over being politically correct.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Especially coming from the house of Musk.
Yes.
Interesting.
It's so I'm actually liking it quite a bit. Grok 4 really interesting if you plug it into your applications.
And that's you pay for it?
Grok 4, they just came out with like a few days ago. That one, if you're using it at the level of compute for application, it's like $300 a month. It's like expensive.
Oh,
Yeah, it's expensive, but the level of compute is now so basically what the XAI team has discovered is that basically sometime last year, we basically ran out of human generated content for AI to parse. And so what the XAI team said is, well, if we don't have enough human
Like, this is real. Like,
Yes,
that's a real thing.
yeah, 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 yeah.
It ran out of things to eat?
Yes. And so what they said was, well, what we need to be doing is we need to ask it to generate its own content and then use its own content to feast on and have a feedback loop of that, which obviously is a huge amount of power and compute. However, what they found was that it was actually generating solutions to things that were more correct with less hallucinations, and they actually didn't know how they were getting to those answers, but they knew the answers were more
So
correct.
last week I read an article by Elon or their team that they believe that within either by the end of the year or early next year, they're going to start making engineering feats. And that's because machine learning is going to, for the first time, bypass human ingenuity.
Correct, because we're actually not feeding it, and
So it's that.
yeah,
So it has to be. Well,
yeah,
anyways, that's so interesting.
yeah, yeah.
My guy, I have to hit it.
Okay, dude, thank you so much for coming on. Where can everybody find you?
My name is Simeon Papailias. You can Google me. I'm kind of a lot of places. I'm in every social place.
You know what? That's the easiest way that I've had anyone answer that question before. Just Google them. Jesus, why didn't I think of that? I don't know. Thank
Give me a Google. God bless you, everybody out there. And I truly mean, if most of your audience is consumers, due diligence, due diligence, due diligence. It's crazy times. Hang in there. If you ever need anything, reach out to the boy, reach out to myself, reach out to whoever you want. But don't hesitate to protect yourself. We are talking about real estate. We're talking about big money. God bless you.
thank you.
Cheers. My man.